An explosion and fire kept Jasper firefighters busy overnight. More on what happened, plus, could data warehouses be the new frontier of economic development in Indiana? More from one local legislator who thinks so, and District 48 State Senator Mark Messmer has this week's legislative update tonight on Inform. All of that and much more is up next here on the 18 WJTS News. Hello, I'm Bradford Raths. We begin tonight with an explosion at a Jasper rubber plant that kept firefighters busy throughout the evening. At around 9:55 last night, the Jasper Fire Department was called to Jasper Rubber Plant number 3 along 1st Avenue on a report of flames that could be seen from a distance. When they arrived, firefighters found the entire dust collection system fully engulfed in flames. Jasper Fire Chief Kenny Hoaxsong says flames were shooting out of the system's smokestack as high as 20 feet in the air. Hoaxsong says an explosion inside of one of the dust collection bins triggered the fire. He says the explosion was actually loud enough for him to hear it from his house nearby.
I did hear something at home a while ago, but about a half an hour before the call went out. So I'm going to guess that's probably what it was. I thought it sounded like thunder, but kind of guessing that's what it was. And it heavy fire when we were right down scene.
Hoaxsong says the cause of the explosion is not determined. Hoaxsong says there were no injuries reported. The plant was evacuated, and Hoaxsong says workers were allowed to go back into the plant at the west entrance after the fire was under control. Hoaxsong says there was extensive damage to the dust collection system, but damage to the inside of the building was minimal. He says the plant is able to operate at some capacity in spite of the blaze. Fire crews were on scene for 2 hours last night. Jasper police were called in to close off Truman Road and 1st Avenue while fire crews worked to fight the fire. A salt truck from the Jasper Street Department also came through to melt any ice off of the streets. District 48 State Senator Mark Messmer is continuing his push for a bill to benefit a new type of economic development in Indiana. Messmer has authored Senate Bill 359, which aims to introduce a sales tax exemption for data warehouse equipment. If passed, the bill would provide the exemption for the sale or lease of the necessary equipment for data warehouses. The bill is aimed at enticing larger companies such as Google, Yahoo, and Amazon. Now, Messmer's bill does have several requirements with it. These include a minimum equipment investment of $100 million and investments having to be in high technology district areas as laid out by cities or counties. The bill would cover equipment purchases made after June 30th of this year, but prior to July 1st of the year 2020. Messmer says the exemptions have a track record of success in Colorado, Iowa, and several other states. He says the tax exemption is necessary in order to get those companies to consider putting facilities in Indiana.
They're going to the 17 states that don't tax them. And as the environment changes across the country on economic development issues, you've got to stay competitive or you just don't have a shot at landing those. We've got some smaller facilities that meet another code site that we're kind of tying together with this one, but they're $10 to $25 million sites that kind of fit our current definitions on enterprise information technology zones, but this would really put us in a competitive spot for large investments.
Exemption applications would have to be reviewed by the Indiana Economic Development Corporation. Messmer says the large investments have brought hundreds of jobs to other states. He says other benefits include the support activities that go with data warehouses. Those often bring in other technology-related businesses, thus creating more jobs. The bill is also authored by Senators Ed Charbonneau and John Broden. It is currently in the Senate Committee on Tax and Fiscal Policy. Now, data warehouses are centralized systems where integrated data from one or more disparate sources is stored. They store current and historical data that's often used by companies to create trending reports, including their annual and quarterly financial comparisons. Data warehouses date back to the 1970s when American computer scientist Bill Inman began using the term and developing ideas. Inman has since published more than 40 books and 1,000 articles related to data warehousing and data management. And finally tonight, more news surrounding the potential for state tax code changes that we first brought you last night. Under a proposed bill, 29 income tax credits and deductions would be done away with. However, Indiana House Speaker Brian Bosma says the $250 million price tag for streamlining tax exemptions for manufacturers is likely to kill that idea. Bosma says Governor Mike Pence's administration estimated that it would cost $35 million to eliminate the double direct rule, but he says actual numbers came up to more than 7 times that amount. Bosma says analysts are still working to reconcile numbers, thus he can't explain the difference at this point. Bosma has again reiterated his stance that Indiana needs to take a breath on major tax cuts. Bosma also says he wants to preserve the tax credits for donating to state universities, something that would be cut under the current proposal. The House Ways and Means Committee could amend and vote on the proposal this upcoming week. All right, coming up after the break, your local forecast, sports with Kurt Guxell, and Inform with Mark Messmer. That's all up next here on the 18 WJTS News. Local people watching local people.